critique is so limiting and emotionally draining.
Velvet Buzzsaw is directed by Dan Gilroy, the director of Nightcrawler. Stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Rene Russo, John Malkovich, Toni Collette, Natalia Dyer. And it tells the story of a supernatural force haunting the paintings of a dead artist after they're collected and placed into the city's vapid, pretentious art scene. I'm gonna start this off by saying I love Nightcrawler. It's one of my favorite thrillers of the last couple of years. Jake Gyllenhaal and his ability to go without blinking for extended periods of time made for probably one of the most unsettling and uncomfortable performances I've seen in a movie like that in a long time. So when I heard that he and Dan Gilroy were making a horror comedy that would also star John Malkovich and Toni Collette and a bunch of other powerhouse actors, I was all for it. So here I am, a deeply disappointed boy, just dejected and sad at the fact that Velvet Buzzsaw let me down as much as it did. This movie was such a disappointment, honestly. Like, it just felt like a giant waste of my time. It's far from the worst thing ever, but with the level of talent involved in this project, it squanders so much of its potential and leaves you wanting for so much more. What's worse is that the trailer spoils any and all good things that this film has to offer. The best scares, the best lines, the only truly great joke in the film, all in the trailer. And honestly, if you've seen the trailer for this movie, you might as well not watch the movie. Now, credit where credit's due. What this movie does well, it does really well. Jake Gyllenhaal continues to prove himself one of the most diverse actors of our time, and he really kills it in the role of a bisexual art critic named Morph. The rest of the cast is also exceptional and get really lost in their roles. I think Natalia Dyer is probably one of the funniest characters in this movie, simply because of the situation she's put into and the way she reacts to all of them are hilarious. And the rest of them do a really good job at selling the vapid, pretentious, shallow art community that they're all engrossed in. And at times it ends up being really hilarious. On top of that, the art direction in a movie about art is pretty stellar. There are a few really, really great set pieces, and some gorgeous imagery in a scene that essentially involves death by art display. Visually speaking, this movie is awesome. But the biggest problems arise when you realize what this movie was trying to do. The potential here is fantastic. The notion of a bunch of shallow commercial art critics all being driven to insanity and death by works of art that are intensely personal and passionate is hilarious, and there's room for great satire in there. And the scenes that actually explore that concept are amazing. The problem is that this movie feels more dedicated toward poking fun at the California art community than it is to actually exploring it. And ironically, it's doing so through a lens that's just as shallow as the people it's poking fun at. Rarely does it go any deeper than a bunch of intensely unlikable characters all waxing philosophical about how much money a piece can get them, or interacting with each other in ludicrously cartoonish ways that really just poke surface-level fun at the community they're mocking. There's nothing to relate to, no one to like, and for anyone who's not engrossed in the very scene that this movie is making fun of, it's really hard to connect to. It's only when the film starts delving into the intensely personal works that Deese left behind, and the fact that they were made solely for him as a form of expression, do we see glimpses of what this movie could have been. Unfortunately, all that takes a backseat to Gyllenhaal, Russo, and Collette all putting on these faux posh accents and acting incredibly flamboyant at each other. And mind you, that's all great and wildly entertaining, but when it makes up 90% of your movie, a lot of the potential just feels really wasted. All in all, the horror elements of Velvet Buzzsaw, as well as any commentary it's trying to make, are buried beneath way too many layers of surface-level bullshit, and as a result, the movie just feels wildly unsatisfying. I'm gonna say that Velvet Buzzsaw is meh. There's a really great movie in here clawing to get out, but it's buried so deep that there's absolutely no hope of seeing its full potential. And that's a shame considering we've seen what Dan Gilroy and Jake Gyllenhaal can do together, and to see that potential squandered here is just really fucking upsetting. As always, guys, if you like this channel and you want to see more, click down there, like, comment, subscribe. I have a Patreon now, the link is down in the description. If you want to support this channel and help us grow and make new, better content for you all to enjoy, please consider donating. Even $1 would help, but even if you don't, thank you so much for watching anyway, and I will see you all very soon.